I am in Michigan. That's right. I'm sorry it's flooded. Trump speaking. It's a snooze fest. Yeah, I'm live. I'm alive, and I'm early, and I've been traveling a lot lately, going all around the country. And this is a part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news about what's going on in the world of Hasan Piker in between the time period where I press the stop streaming button
that nobody was
press the start streaming button. So help me God, that's what I'm gonna do. But obviously Donald Trump is live, so I'm just gonna dive right into it. Trump is live on his press conference. Do we have a blast off meme? I'm just gonna go right into it. Okay, gonna go right into it. We're gonna listen to what Trump has to say live early from Michigan. To listen to Trump's White House press conference. I know Trump is talking. Stop saying come to Cleveland and all these other things. Started watching your Cuba documentary with my girlfriend. Very good, but so depressing as well. Okay. All right. Well, all right. That one's good. We'll just use that one. We'll just use that blast off meme. All right. But yeah, we're live. We're alive. And yeah, personal news wise, obviously I ended the broadcast last night and then got ready, flew in on a red eye, 4-hour flight, no food, had to beg the air stewardess if I could get one of those like purchasable snack packs because I was straight up dying. Luckily it was fine. I came in early at like 5 a.m. Technically at 2 a.m. for LA time. Landed, went back to sleep, and that's it. Are you considering submitting your Cuba doc on international festivals? No, what the hell? It's not. It's like a YouTube video, man. It's just like a little bit more of an effort, a high effort YouTube video. Anyway, live early from Michigan to listen to Trump's White House press conference. But thank you for thinking that. Will he do terror tomorrow? Epstein's Fury, day 37. Right wing dev still on my ass. Abdul Raleigh tomorrow. Get in now. You can be an art guy. You move people more or less. Would you consider pressing the quack button on the soundboard? I do not have a soundboard. The mini doc plus your AJ vid plus some of your other guest media appearances are shaping up incredibly. Your overall profile is more and more legit by the day. No glaze. Thank you. No glizzy. No glaze. No glaze, but no fa. Post the Cuba dog on other platforms as well. TikTok, Insta, and Twitter. Long form stuff. Break up the TikTok into parts. Yeah. No soundboard while we're out here, unfortunately. Because obviously I'm not here. I'm not at home, I'm not at home. Also, Trump just said Iran could be taken out in one night. Might be Tuesday night. All right, let's just go right into it.
When you go, the heroic F-15 weapons system officer had evaded capture on the ground in Iran for almost 48 hours. That's a long time when you're in tough shape and when you're bleeding. It's a long time. When we left, as you probably know, we had 2 large planes, pretty old planes that carried a lot. We needed a lot more equipment going in than coming out, obviously, because going in, we needed to be able to scale mountains.
Why is there a daily Fuck Hasan segment on?
And we had a lot of equipment.
Fox News?
Wait, the sand was sandy, wet sand. So we thought there may be a problem taking off because of the weight of the plane. And then we also had all the men jumping back onto the planes. And they got pretty well bogged down. And we had a contingency plan, which was unbelievable, where lighter, faster aircraft came in and they took them out. We blew up the old planes. We blew them up to smithereens because we had equipment on the planes that, frankly, we'd like to take, but I don't think it was worthwhile spending another 4 hours there taking it off. So we didn't want anybody to have. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. We didn't want anybody examining our anti-aircraft and other equipment. So these were large planes that were old and pretty old, and we blew them up. And we had faster, lighter planes come in, and they were able to land on the sand. We needed the bigger planes because we had so much equipment that we needed. We took 3 helicopters over there, which were very strongly used and couldn't have lived without them. They did, and they performed unbelievably well. And if you'd see it, you wouldn't believe it. They came off the plane, and these guys had them. The rotors were off. They rebuilt these helicopters in less than 10 minutes. And that was one of the more amazing things. These are helicopters, small, unbelievably powerful, but small, very small, so it can get into certain areas. And they got them off the plane, and they rebuilt all three of them in a matter of less than 10 minutes. It's pretty amazing what the genius of these people. Who would think that? You'd think it would take 5 days to build them. And in some companies, it would take 5 days, and they wouldn't do it well. But they served us well. As Commander-in-Chief, I never forget the extraordinary risk taken by the warriors that we send into battle. And the genius, I mean, think of it, having a contingency of 3 planes waiting because we think the sand is so bad that we probably won't be able to take off. And the planes really got bogged. This was not much of a runway. This was a farm, not a runway. It's a farm, but it did the trick. But to have a contingency as opposed to having to wait 2 days, can you imagine right in the middle? This was central. This was right, you would call it central casting if you were doing a movie for location. And probably the toughest area of Iran where we'd be sitting there. So these planes came in, those pilots came in so fast and so quick and got out of there. Everybody got aboard and just got 15-minute intervals. One load out, one load out, one load out. It happened, and we were watching, and we said, "That's amazing." It's in many ways, I was almost more impressed by the contingency that we had than the fact that if we would have had a runway or decent soil. But it was an amazing thing. But we thank God for every single one of them. And the talent, the genius is not even talent. It's if you look at what we did with Maduro, we went into a military compound, a massive, with thousands and thousands of soldiers, and within a matter of minutes, and he lived behind iron doors. There were steel doors, broke them down so quickly, and within almost minutes, he was in the back of these planes. It was a similar group. Incredible. We have incredibly talented people. And if the time comes, we move heaven and earth to bring them home safely. We're going to bring our people home safely. Oh, shit. I want to thank every member of the U.S. Armed Forces involved in these historic operations. They really were historic. It's just not
so funny that
done.
Trump is demonstrably incompetent and belligerent, and his entire administration is also the same. And ironically enough, out of all of the institutions that we have, the military, especially certain aspects of the American military, are some of the only competent aspects that remain of American organizations.
Territory, I guess.
So it's really interesting that they're having to conduct these incredibly complex operations.
They took damage. Tells you
because
says, these are unbelievable
Donald
machines.
Trump
They flew back and not even much of a
decided
problem.
to blow up Iran for no reason.
But these two extraordinary rescues, because it was two,
ridiculous,
as you probably know, we didn't talk about the first one for an hour, and then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker.
I'm not pro-military, but it's not.
There's somebody missing.
I'm not pro-military by any means. I just see the military as a jobs program, but this is just a normal assessment of the events. It's just nothing works in America. Even the military doesn't really work, but also it's still one of the only remaining competent organizations in the country.
And we know who, and you know who we're talking about, because some things you can't do, because when they did that, all of a sudden, the entire country of Iran knew that there was a pilot that was somewhere on their land that was fighting for his life, and it also made it much more difficult for the pilots and for the people going in to search for him. All of a sudden, they know that there's somebody out there. They see all these planes coming in. It became a much more difficult operation because a leaker leaked that we have one, we've rescued one, but there's another one out there that we're trying to get. So actually, the country, Iran, put out a major notice, you all saw it, offering a very big award for anybody that captures
It wasn't.
the
It was
pilot.
$60,000.
So in addition to a hostile,
It wasn't that
very
big of an
talented,
award,
very
unfortunately.
good, very
'cause
evil
Iran is a
military,
much poorer country.
we had millions of people trying to get an award. So when you add that to it, but we have to find that leaker because that's a sick person. Probably didn't realize the extent of how bad it was. I can't imagine that the person did, but we're going to find out. It's national security, and the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say, and that doesn't last long, and I think everybody would understand it. They put this mission at great risk. They put that man at great risk, and they put the hundreds of people that went in looking for him.
There's something very funny about Donald Trump complaining that someone leaked a special military operation because he literally yesterday went on Fox News, or at least talked to a Fox News reporter about CIA clandestine operations, arms trafficking to Kurdish militias in Iran. In a moment of weakness, he was just like, yeah, we did that.
Was the first manned aircraft downed by the enemy in this entire operation with thousands and thousands of flights. He got lucky. It was a lucky hit. You know, eventually you get lucky. But we got lucky, too, because we got both of them back. But it's a record that is unparalleled in the history of military air operations. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's such an honor to be involved with it. We were up late at night, and then we were waiting for those contingent planes to come in, and we say, come on, let's go, get in, because they're waiting out on this farm without a runway, with wet, crummy soil, sand, mostly sand, wet sand, and it eats planes alive, and we're waiting, and we're saying, I hope that one can land and take off. And they came in like magic, boom, 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 one after another. It was like genius. I'm so impressed by that. Because we were a little concerned. We said, boy, if they don't get in and get up fast, we're sitting in them. And that's called Iran Prime, right, General? That's where the whole bet is. And here we are sitting there waiting for a plane. But they came in so fast and so hard, and these guys knew exactly what to do. Let's go, come on, get in, let's go, blah. They came one right after another, not at the same time. They don't want to come at the same time. They had to come right after each other. They didn't have any room. There was barely any room to land. A tiny little patch of very wet earth and sand. So I'm so proud of the people that I have standing up here with me and many others that worked. I mean, so many. Steve Witkoff's over here. He's doing fantastically. Jared Kushner. But the people that are here, the job they did is amazing. And I think I'm going to introduce the head of the CIA, and he is a man he's central casting, okay? If we cast a movie, he's going to play the head of the CIA. He's one of the few. John Ratcliffe, he did a phenomenal job that night. He did something that I don't know if you want to talk about it. If you want, you can. I'm not sure he's supposed to. I'm not going to talk about it. But the CIA was very responsible for finding this little speck. It's like they used an expression on one of the shows. A general was talking about, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, finding this pilot. And the CIA was unbelievable. And you may, if you can, you'll talk. It might be classified, in which case I'd have to put him in jail if he talks about it. And I don't want to put him in jail. He doesn't deserve that. So, John, do you want to say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a privilege to be here with you today to share what we can about this exceptional mission and to recognize the ingenuity and bravery of those who executed it, as well as the leadership and resolve of the president who ordered it. One thing that has been clear to me in this role is that the flawless military operations that the Department of War is known for are hostage to flawless intelligence. We saw that in the skies over Iran in Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. We witnessed it in Venezuela during Operation Absolute Resolve. We've seen it against the cartels in the Western Hemisphere, and we're seeing it every day in Operation Epic Fury, including this mission to rescue an aviator buried deep behind enemy lines. Because it is the unique tradition of the U.S. Armed Forces that we leave no man or woman behind. This was a no-fail mission. That was the spirit in which the president put us to work, and we were determined not to let him down or our airmen down. As an agency, the CIA possesses unique capabilities that only the president can deploy. Some of these capabilities fall under covert action authorities. And because covert means exactly that, I'm not going to be able to tell you everything that you want to know.
Oh, mystery.
At the president's direction, we deployed both human assets and exquisite technologies that no other intelligence service in the world possesses to a daunting challenge, comparable to hunting for a single grain of sand in the middle of a desert. This was also a race against the clock, as it was critical that we locate the downed aviator as quickly as possible, while at the same time keeping our enemies misdirected. For that reason, in addition to the human and technical assets deployed by the president to find our airmen, CIA executed a deception campaign to confuse the Iranians who were desperately hunting for our airmen. On Saturday morning, we achieved our primary objective by finding and providing confirmation that one of America's best and bravest was alive and concealed in a mountain crevice, still invisible to the enemy, but not to the CIA. That confirmation was relayed by Secretary Hegseth to the president, and the operation quickly moved to the execution phase. Following the successful exfiltration on Saturday night, our intelligence reflects that the Iranians were embarrassed and ultimately humiliated by the success of this audacious rescue mission. When the president asked me to lead the CIA, he made it clear, get back to basics, no politics, no agendas.
Yeah, we did this. We did the search and rescue mission non-woke. We were saying slurs while our search and rescue operations during combat also featured M60 machine gunners that were on the side of these MH-60 mini helicopters that were not only dumping munitions on the ground, but also saying slurs, deploying the tactical slurs that are obviously necessary for combat success. You know, we did it unwokely.
None of that matters.
No politics.
And all of that is wasted without a president with the political courage to put them into action. Mr. President, I've had the privilege of seeing you act with political courage in the best interest of the United States up close on a daily basis, and I'm grateful that this successful mission has given the American people a window
it's clearly
into that
not,
as well.
Look, combat search and rescue operations are always going to be difficult. They're always going to be sticky. There's always going to be issues. So as long as they get the guy back, it's a success. But let's be real. America is using a shit ton of
is boosted
tools
by the knowledge that their work is informing a president who's not afraid to make the hardest decisions when the stakes are highest. And to the American people, your confidence should be boosted by knowing that the security of the nation is in the hands of a president who's willing to take on problems that have confounded both sides of the political aisle for nearly half a century. It is an honor to serve under a leader who just proved that you can believe him when he says, no matter what, we will leave no one behind. We will come for you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Well, John, thank you for the collaboration with the CIA as well. Incredible and ongoing partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, and especially the brave warriors in our armed forces, over this Easter weekend, the United States military has once again proved why we possess the greatest fighting force the world has ever known.
This is like somewhat a note that people have obviously given up on, but it is quite strange that you have the head of the CIA, which is supposed to be like at least technically apolitical, right? Like in theory, in optics, come out and glaze the motherfucking president after a successful operation like that. I don't recall a time, not that it matters, like it's not the worst problem here, But I don't recall a time where that was a thing that used to take place, right? Like, very strange way to operate.
And today, as the CIA director mentioned, Iran's military, and we know this, is embarrassed and humiliated, and they should be. Now, these are not routine operations. They were high-risk, high-stakes missions conducted in the heart of enemy territory. This was not just barely into Iran. This was deep into Iran, involving coordinated strikes to suppress threats, deception tactics to protect our teams,
I need you guys to remember
across air, ground, and
like this recovery mission and the asset loss that took place in the process of the recovery mission did not need to happen at all. Okay, this is yet another classic Trump move. Trump fucks something up 100% and then literally rolls it back like 20%. And because people are expecting 100% fuck ups in perpetuity, that 20% rollback is now considered a massive success. And it's really interesting because things are still fucked 80%. How about not fucking things up? How about keeping it at 0% fuck ups? No, can't do that. And that's a classic Trump move. Did it with the tariffs. Roll back some of the tariffs. Everyone was like, oh, thank God the market can, breathe a little bit, right? A moment of respite from the chaos. And it's like, it's a classic Trump move. He comes in, he fucks things up 100%, and then due to like the competence of others or due to people yelling at him too much, he's just like literally pulls it back a little bit more. And then people go, okay, thank God. Okay, things are stable again.
And that is not luck. It's the result of unmatched training, superior technology, an unbreakable warrior ethos, and sheer American grit. Our special operators, pilots, and support crews performed with near perfection under fire, and they were lethal. Just ask any Iranian soldier who dared attempt to get anywhere near that pilot before or during that mission. Death from above. Our troops turned a potential tragedy into a resounding demonstration of American resolve and capability. That's what excellence in uniform looks like. But make no mistake about it, none of this would have been possible without the courageous leadership and ironclad determination of President Donald J. Trump. From the moment our airmen went down, President Trump made it clear we will leave no one behind. The first mission, the first of two, was an audacious daylight thunder run right up the middle. It was authorized in less than 2 hours from that pilot going down when we knew where he was. And it was authorized in the middle of the night because anybody that's worked for this man knows he's up in the middle of the night. Authorized immediately, without hesitation, audaciously. The second mission, as soon as we knew where that pilot was, and John was certainly helpful in that, also executed immediately. You know, I looked up at my screen when the final mission was complete inside our SCIF, our secure facility. And we have a running VTC, a running coordination cell. And the top of it read 45 minutes and 45 hours and 56 minutes. For 45 hours and 56 minutes, we held that call open for coordination. From the moment our pilots went down, our mission was unblinking. The call never dropped, the meeting never stopped, the planning never ceased. The president demanded rapid, decisive action. He backed our military with the full weight of his resolve, refusing to let enemy...
Bro, the way they're talking, you would think he was commandeering the CH-130s, bro. You'd think he was flying the goddamn cargo plane. You think he was with a shovel trying to dig out the front wheels of the cargo plane on this impromptu FARP that they set up on an agricultural field. You would think Trump was there, bro. Meanwhile, none of the dudes had to be there. None of the planes had to be there. The only reason why any of this is happening, and it's still happening, by the way, because it hasn't stopped, right? The pain has not subsided. We haven't fixed any of the issues. But the only reason why any of this is happening is because of Trump, because he decided to do the unthinkable do the thing that like Israel has wanted every American president to do. He was the one that finally gave Benjamin Netanyahu that gift and bomb Iran, go to war with Iran. It's so crazy.
Monty, you can ask Maduro, you can ask Khomeini. To those heroes who planned and executed these rescues, your nation stands in awe. I stand in awe. The chairman stands in awe. We all stand in awe of your professionalism and bravery. We serve for you. You embody the very best of America. To the rescued airmen and their families, welcome home. Your courage and endurance, the quiet declaration of faith amid the storm, inspires us all. God is good every day. And to our adversaries watching from Tehran, let this be a clear message. The United States military will go anywhere, at any time, to protect our own and complete the mission. We execute with precision. We control the skies. You see, we flew for 7 hours in daylight over Iran to get the first pilot. And we flew 7 hours in the middle of the night to get the second. And Iran did nothing about it. We fight with honor, and under President Trump's leadership, we win. So God bless our troops, God bless President Trump, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr.
Like the CIA director has to be an intelligent person. He has to be a competent person. Historically, and even today, that guy is not a fucking silly Billy, right? And yet here you have the CIA director straight up saying mission accomplished while the war continues to wage. You got Pete Hegseth saying that, but that's expected of Pete, right? Because Pete is obviously a drunk rapist, a nuisance, a dumbass. It's actually wild how much
in the morning, local Iran time.
We've
the
like
Joint Personnel
retooled
Recovery
everything.
Center, which handles
how
the
much we've
Central
retooled
Command
the
area
American government
declared an
to
isolated
fluff up
personnel recovery
one guy,
event
one
for US Air
incompetent
Force
monster.
F-15E Strike Eagle, call sign Dude 44, which was down in hostile Iranian territory. The pilot and weapons system officer had both safely ejected and were isolated behind enemy lines. Following confirmation of active rescue beacons and on the direction of the Secretary and by order of the President, a rescue operation was launched with the stated purpose of bringing both Americans home safely. As the Secretary said, several hours later on the morning after positively locating the front seater, call sign Dude 44 Alpha, and aware of an aggressive ongoing search by the enemy, a U.S. Central Command plan was approved by the Secretary and the President. Shortly thereafter, a U.S. Air Force Combat Search and Rescue Task Force comprised of A-10 Warthogs in their Sandy role, and I'll describe what that is in a minute, HC-130 Combat King 2s, HH-60 Jolly Green 2 helicopters, and Air Force Special Warfare Airmen, a package comprised of combat rescue officers and pararescueman operators, audaciously penetrated enemy territory in broad daylight to find, fix, and recover Dude 44 Alpha from behind enemy lines. This was an incredibly dangerous mission, an incredibly dangerous undertaking, but a filled promise made to every American warfighter that you will not be left behind. We will always...
Guys, literally they're doing it. They're all saying like how wonderful the mission was, and no one wants to admit that the reason why the mission even had to be the reason why the mission had to even happen is because Trump decided to bomb Iran. Like it's so ridiculous. Like we have melted upwards of $60 billion so far, just lit it on fire for the past 37 days. And people are just like, yeah, look at how wonderful this was. This was so great. Look at this campaign. I mean, look at this daring, audacious, penetrative military mission that we pulled off. Look at our soldiers. It's like, okay, but here's another alternative. None of that had to happen. It's so crazy.
The objective area. During this engagement, one of the Sandy aircraft, the one primarily responsible for communicating with the downed pilot, was hit by enemy fire. This pilot continued to fight, continued the mission, and then upon exit, flew his aircraft into another country and determined that the airplane was not landable. This was one of our A-10 Sandy aircraft. The pilot then made the decision to eject over friendly territory and was quickly and safely recovered and is doing fine. After picking up Dude 44 Alpha, the HH-60 Jolly Green fight was engaged by every single person in Iran who had a small arms weapon. And one of the aircraft, the trailing aircraft, took several hits. The crew sustained minor injury, and they are going to be fine. A note for those of you that do not know what a Sandy does. Named after the flight call sign that did this very mission in Vietnam, flying A-1 Sky Raiders and A-7 Corsairs. A Sandy has one mission: get to the survivor, bring the rescue force forward, and put themselves between that survivor on the ground and the enemy. They are committed to this. This is what they live for, and this is what they've trained for over many, many years. The A-10 force and the rescue force did a fantastic job rescuing Dude 44 Alpha. He was recovered Friday afternoon. As I said, and the nation needs to know this, this was an incredibly brave and courageous mission, and a testament to the courage, skill, and tenacity of the joint force and our leaders. And especially a daylight option, having the guts to try, means so much to so many. Meanwhile, the backseater, as the President and the Secretary have said, had continued to work and survive. Through the hours of daylight, Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater, evaded. Using every means available, the efforts of the United States military, the Central Intelligence Agency, and others were attempting to find and locate with precision Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater. A note on,
are you mad we were injecting freedom into Iran with extreme
and
penetration and maximum war fighting?
The single most important contributor to a successful rescue operation is the spirit of attack inside the heart of that downed aviator.
What the hell is
Their
Dude
will
44
to
Alpha?
survive,
It's just how
their
hard my
will
cock
to
is when I
evade,
think about
their
the American
will
military.
To recover is everything. In this case, the backseater's absolute commitment to surviving made much of our efforts possible.
Like everything is like hoorah, hard dick. Look at the might of our military shit. It's so funny. And I don't think this is like as successful as people like. This is good for the dummies, right? Dummies will eat this shit up. Dummies will absolutely eat this shit up. There's plenty of people in the cult that this is going to be really good for. This is great propaganda for them. They're like, yeah, America is so powerful, is so mighty. Don't look at the fact that, like, you know, the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, right? Like all this stuff. Fox News boomers will like it. Obviously, the MAGA cult will like it. But it's unbelievably stupid that we're even doing this. And I don't think most Americans are on board with it. As a matter of fact, most Americans are looking at the gas prices and thinking, why the fuck are we doing this at all? Why are we doing this? None of this makes sense. Please fix the inflation. I want health care. Like, why are we doing new wars? I thought you said no new wars, Mr. President. Now, of course, the problem here is no one that says, I thought you said no new wars, Mr. President, is actually a former Trump supporter, because all of the former Trump supporters are current Trump supporters, with maybe a little bit, in the margins, like some independents who were like, yeah, I voted for him, especially in the youth vote, right? People who were like, yeah, I voted for him. I thought he was going to be, no new wars. Turns out he's Mr. New Wars. That was a mistake. Whatever. I learned. You live and you learn, right? But yeah, what he meant was no new wars. No! Exclamation mark. New wars. Yes.
Dude 44 Bravo. They were protected overhead by an air armada, including tactical drones, strike aircraft, and others.
I voted for him.
The
I
force
like war.
fought through multiple simultaneous
Dude, 44
contingencies,
Alpha in the chat.
something no other
Respect.
nation, no other military can do.
I will say I haven't really seen a lot of like, I voted for this people, even on the internet, even the dumbest people that used to post that anytime we were like, I don't know, kidnapping like a random Guatemalan aunt who's on her way to her daycare job, right? And ripping her apart from her family in these like harrowing scenes that used to happen on a daily basis. There would be a bunch of white supremacists that would quote retweet that shit and be like, I voted for this. I voted for this, dude. This is what I voted for. Meanwhile, for the last 37 days, you haven't really heard a lot of people say I voted for this, right? Which has been quite interesting.
Tenacity is a direct result of the absolute trust they have in our rescue forces, their training, and their will to survive and return. They always knew that we would be ordered to go get them, and they always knew that we would be coming to get them. These two operations reflect our nation's most sacred obligation to our military service members. We leave no one behind. Bless you. It also perfectly captures the first truth
You just tactically ascertained that sneeze, sir.
that people are more important than hardware. That is the standard we live by, and the rescue forces that execute these missions operate under.
By the way, the American government has absolutely left troops behind on especially special forces operations in the past. The only reason why they had to conduct this unimaginably costly operation was for two reasons, I think. One, to do pen testing, to see how well they could set up like a base of operation, in my opinion, inside of Iran. And two, because everybody was obviously aware that there were two pilots, not one, that were slated to be captured, and they did not want that. They did not want that massive, spectacular L, which is precisely the reason why they, spent almost $1 billion on this operation, both with the asset loss, when the operational costs here were close to $1 billion fucking dollars, just to get this one guy out.
Dude 44, welcome home. Job well done. Thank you.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And these two gentlemen have been.
All right, let's get to the questions. Let's see if they will do a suck job.
I got to know General Kane in my first term because he was able to take out ISIS in 4 weeks instead of the 4-year projection that was given to me by other much lesser generals. I said, if I ever do this again,
much lesser generals, we fired
that's
all of them.
That's going to be the head of my Joint
Some
Chiefs
of them were
staff.
black. Can you believe it? And women. They wanted women generals. We can't have women generals. Unbelievable.
In 4 weeks, I was told it would take 4 years. I flew to Iraq to find out with the greatest equipment in the world, why would it take 4 years? And he told me, sir, it won't. It'll take 4 weeks and you'll have time left over. And that's exactly what happened. So he's great. And Pete, all I can say is that he was treated very unfairly. And now those same people that treated him unfairly, that fought against him, they called me up saying, what a great choice he was. They said, well, what happened during his nomination? What happened to you? I'm telling you, people that were not for him, senators, friends of mine, sir, I don't think you're doing the right thing. Now they're calling me up. What a choice. These two guys are fantastic. And John Ratcliffe was incredible. It was actually their genius that called us from, he was 40 miles away. And he said, we're seeing something moving up in the mountain. This is at night. And they kept the camera on him for 45 minutes. He wasn't moving. And they said, probably wrong, but we're seeing something moving. This is a vast mountain. Vast, thick, with bushes, trees. He said, we see something moving 40 miles away. It was the head of a human being, I'm telling you, it's moving. And then all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, he moved a lot. He stood up, and they said, we have him. And that was really the beginning of something incredible. We had an idea where he was, but not specifically, and it's a big mountain. So I want to thank the CIA, too. I don't think they get enough credit for the great job they've done. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for this great opportunity. Country it has super army. You make a difference, Mr. President. Thank you for your greatest leadership.
Oh my God, bro.
I have two quick questions, Mr. President.
Bro, that's not a question.
What was your
that's dick
reaction
sucking.
when you learned that Kurdistan region had resumed exporting oil to the international market with your support as United States of America?
Well, I expected that. We've gotten along with the Kurds for a long time, so I expected that.
God damn, dude. What a
Another question,
what ridiculous situation we find ourselves in. Like, that's crazy.
If the Iranian people rise up against their regime during a ceasefire, Mr. President?
Well, they should do it, but again, the consequences are great.
Mr. President,
they were told
you are the greatest
if you
leader.
protest, you will be shot immediately. You saw what happened to the young wrestler. He was a great champion, by the way. He was a great wrestler, one of the top in the world. And he and his two friends were hung. And all they did was say a little bit about liberty.
See, that was a
They wanted liberty,
moment, okay?
and
But
they
I don't
were
have the
violently
soundboard, so I can't
executed.
say it. They were hanged.
But the number is
hung.
up to probably 45,000 people were killed. So, you know, when somebody stays in a house, when they know if they walk out of the house to protest, they'll be immediately shot and killed. And they issued that, you know, that was publicly issued. It's not a secret. That's why so many people say, oh, well, why are you doing this way? We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You know, we got regime change. We do. We're dealing with a much different regime than before. We're dealing with different people. They're smarter. I think they're sharper and far less radical. We have regime change, but we didn't do this for regime change. We did it for the fact, and my view was very simple. I saw somebody said, oh, he doesn't have a plan. I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is. You know, they want me to say, here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to... And if you don't do that, they say, I have a plan. These people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is. But it's very unfair to say, we don't, because I don't mind being insulted. I've been insulted for many years by the fake news, but you can't.
Famously, Trump doesn't mind being
so
insulted.
Bad for people that are so you just saw two great, and John Ratcliffe, three unbelievable people. They have a plan. Every single thing has been thought out by all of us. But I can't reveal the plan to the media. So, you know, but we're just thrilled by the success of this operation. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing and it's suffering. They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot. Remember the great woman protests where they had 400,000, 500,000 women, and they were all enthused and they were going to protest, and everybody said, oh, the regime's going to come to an end. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, 5, 6 different areas. A woman would go down right between the eyes. They had snipers. They had 5 snipers. That's all it took. And those 400,000 or 500,000 women said, oh, my God, what's that? Oh, look over there. What's that? A woman shot right between the eyes. And after 5 or 6 of them go down, then you start hearing the purr through the vast number of people. And then they said, oh, my God, who would do that?
Yeah, except, first of all of this commentary is day one commentary. You can't continue to do this kind of, we're trying to liberate the Iranian people, when you were also saying we're bombing Iran back to the Stone Age, man. what is this fucking argument? Like, he's awfully descriptive about the gruesome ways in which the Iranian government is like assassinating their own citizens. Meanwhile, buddy, you're the one who's killed. You're the one who has not only killed thousands, but you're also threatening to kill tens of thousands more.
Between the eyes, from a long distance, they were on top of buildings. Nobody even knew where they were. Where they coming from? This wasn't like a machine gun, which is also very bad. They've done that too. They did that recently. This was snipers sitting on the top of buildings, aiming and hitting women. And when they see people go down, and all of a sudden there's a riot in the reverse direction, and they never came out again. And a lot of the news doesn't talk about that. They talk about, oh, women's rights. You want to see women's rights? You're not going to see it there. It's amazing when I see some of the stupid people like, AOC +3, all that group. They talk about, oh, freedom for Iran. They don't tell you the real facts. Women, men, gays. How about gays for Iran? They kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. So I wonder what's going on. I can only say this. They want us to keep bombing, even if it jeopardizes, because their life is in much greater danger. They want freedom for Iran, but it's very hard for them to protest. I actually tell them, I said, don't go out. I fully understand. Nobody in this room would go out.
I think there's a new technique out here that we haven't really fucking accounted for, which, as I've said over and over again, lying is OP, right? Lying is OP, please nerf. But I also think Donald Trump just, he just occupies space, right? He'll make both sides of the same argument. On the one hand, he's like, Iranians are barbaric monsters. We're going to fucking bomb them back to the Stone Age. They're animals. We need to destroy their electricity. We need to destroy their energy grid. And then he'll turn around and be like, and the Iranian government, they're so violent. We're actually doing this to protect the Iranian people. And I think for his own audience, like, they don't really care. It's not, like, consistency is utterly irrelevant at this point, where it's just more so that they get to hear their beautiful president talk, right? Their big, beautiful president talk, and they'll repeat the things that he's saying. And they also have no care or consideration for being consistent at all. It's not even about like making an argument. It's preaching to the converted. And because there's plenty of converted already, it just kind of doesn't matter at this point what he says. It doesn't matter that he's like incapable of presenting a cohesive, coherent narrative here, right? It's so strange. I mean, given that foreign policy is perhaps the most removed from the pressures of the majority, democratic pressures entirely, as we've seen in the past 2.5 years with the genocide in Gaza and the demands to put an end to it, even during an election cycle. I kind of understand why Trump has this what are you going to do about it attitude. But it still is shocking how cult-like his audience is, how cult-like his fan base is at this point, that they don't even question the contradictions that Donald Trump represents in the exact same speech that he's delivering.
Into this journey, hundreds of people could have been killed. Forget about the equipment, a lot of equipment, nobody cares. Hundreds of people could have been killed. So we had people that were within the military that said this is not a wise, and I understood that, but I decided to do it.
Was there a point that that you were thinking there's too much on the line, and somebody was saying maybe we abort this now and wait? I mean, given the resource, like the general said, it seemed like there was so much on the line here. You must have been thinking, well, this could have completely changed.
So the first one, which was in many ways as dangerous as the second, I guess it gets, because we're flying over daylight. You know, we're the best at the world at night. We have goggles that nobody... We have goggles. I've tried them. They're unbelievable. I see better with the goggles at night than I see without them during daylight. I mean, daylight today, we have a beautiful day. You see just as well with goggles. In many ways, it's
incredible.
Enhanced.
Thank you, sir.
So we have the best in the world. So it's much safer for us to do it at night. Whereas other people, no other country has that capability. They don't have that particular.
He's what we call in psychiatry, psychoanalysis, a mirror. He has an ability to say everything And those listening will fight the dissonance and crazy making by pulling out what they need to hear to keep external/internal order. Vance is a kaleidoscope. It's interesting. I mean, that does make sense. Your explanation does make sense. Like, he's giving people enough. If you are, let's say, a Persian diaspora monarchist, for example, you hear him talk about the ruthlessness of the IRGC, and you hear that, and that's fine. That's enough for you. You don't care about the fact that he's also saying, let's bomb Iran back to the Stone Age. You just like choose to not hear that. And if you're the type of person who thinks, Iranians are barbaric, then it's great. We should bomb them back to the Stone Age. For example, one of the funniest things that Republicans do, conservatives in general do this, they'll talk about the conservatism of enemy states, right? Conservatives here that are genuinely advancing the exact same social forces, the social pressures, the regressive social pressures, will turn around and talk about how ridiculous it is that, look at the way that they're treating the gays in Iran. And it's like, well, brother, your Supreme Court just, struck down a gay conversion therapy ban in the state of Colorado. That's just torturing young gay teenagers. That's literally just now officially legalized torture. Like, it's not all that different, right? It's not all that different. It's just that the material realities are different in America as opposed to Iran. America's a much wealthier, much more prosperous country, obviously, and therefore, we don't have ISIS-style groups yet, as they did in Syria and Iraq. But I always explain to you, all these like Patriot Prayer rally goers and the Oath Keepers and whatnot would behave exactly the same way as ISIS would if the American economy resembled the Iraqi economy, for example. So that's the only reason why. Like, they have material comforts that allow them to go and do these like weekend journeys where they train and LARP, and then they go back to eating jalapeno poppers all the same. They go back to watching sports on the TV all the same. But if they didn't have those amenities, they didn't have those treats, and if the economy resembled a war economy, like a bombed out, hollowed out economy of like Iraq, they would be doing the same shit to the gays that ISIS was doing, right?
This should have been handled by 7 presidents, a lot of presidents. And those presidents are saying now, every one of them to their friends, we should have done this a long time ago. So it's not something I like doing. It's very dangerous, and we're getting them at the height of their strength. If I didn't,
I'd be lying to you though if I acted as though this is not something I'm jealous of. Yeah, that's Trump's incredible power as a politician. People who like him just pick and choose what they believe from what he says. If it's something they don't like, they just can say he doesn't mean that, or he's just talking. It never breaks through. Every Trump supporter thinks Trump thinks exactly like them. There's almost an evangelical style personal relationship with God, but with Trump. Exactly. And Trump is a manifestation of God. He is like a prophet. He is treated like a prophet. But yeah, that's precisely what it is. Oh, wait, what is he talking about?
Remember when he filled up a 757 with cash, billions of dollars of cash, and he sent it over to them. Then they gave them tens of billions of dollars. He chose Iran over Israel and really the Arab world, if you look, because, the other, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I mean, you take a look. I mean, I can add Kuwait and I can add Bahrain, and you can add others. He chose such an unlikely candidate. Nobody could believe it. Frankly, if you're going to choose between Iraq and Iran, he should have befriended Iraq. He went in the exact opposite direction of all thinking, and he made a terrible mistake. But that was a road to a nuclear weapon. And when I terminated that, everyone said, oh, he terminated it. It was one of the best things we ever did, because he had a road to a nuclear weapon. And it was a very short-term deal. Countries don't do 10-year deals. Countries do hundreds of years. You don't do a 10-year deal. For a country, this isn't, you're a landlord and you're renting a store on a certain street and you give somebody a 5-year or 10-year lease. This is a country. It was a short-term deal. It was ready to expire. I terminated it before it expired. Took a lot of heat, and it was one of the best things I ever did, because he would have had a nuclear weapon. Then he would have had another nuclear weapon. Had those beautiful B-2 bombers not gone in 8 months ago, and obliterated that site. And by the way, the word is obliteration. CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't complete. It was so complete that they still haven't been able to get it. It was obliteration. But if we didn't hit them, that was a courageous decision, too, because we had all those planes flying in at night with very little cover, unbelievable stealth planes, and they were able to do their job. If we didn't do that, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon at a high level, either one of those two instances.
A nuclear
And
weapon
if
at a
they
high
did,
level, not at a low
in my
level
opinion,
nuclear weapon.
I told this to Bibi Netanyahu yesterday. Israel would have been extinguished. Large portions of the Middle East would have been extinguished, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, or others. And you saw that with thousands of missiles raining down upon them. They didn't think they were going to be hit. They thought they'd be watching us fight. And all of a sudden, UAE got hit by 1,500 missiles. He would have taken them out also. And they were powerful. If I didn't come along and terminate the Obama deal, which was terrible, the Iran nuclear deal was
Another contradiction from the Republican perspective that I always find very strange is the fact that Republicans are supposed to demonstrate like the maximum manifestation of American exceptionalism, American individualism, and selfishness, right? And they've shown that when it comes to Ukraine, right? Cast aside your own personal opinion on like why Russia invaded Ukraine or whatever the fuck, right? And remember that Republicans, under the directive of Donald Trump, very quickly launched an argument that we shouldn't defend Ukraine at all, right? And we shouldn't be spending money on Ukraine at all. And that although they are engaging in a defensive war, trying to purge a Russian invasion from their national boundaries, that was totally and wholly unjustifiable, our support, right? And what's really interesting is that they don't have that same ambition for Israel. You could absolutely make this argument on moral grounds to not to discontinue our endless and unlimited support to Israel. We've given a tremendous amount more support to Israel. And now, in the process of waging Israel's war on Iran, we've actually lost a shit ton more of our assets and even put our soldiers, active duty soldiers, in the line of fire. Some of them have died. Hundreds of casualties the Iranian resistance has delivered hundreds of casualties. We don't even know the full numbers. And it's really strange that Republicans don't turn around and have a similar isolationist attitude towards Israel.
Mr. President, thank you so much.
You've listed the goals. Excuse me.
Please, go ahead.
You've listed
Thank
the
you,
goals.
Mr. President.
Who you with? Who you with?
My name is Dia Kurd. I'm with the largest Kurdish media outlet, Ruda Media Network. It's based in Iran.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, you said before that you don't want the Kurdish forces to enter Iran and deharm it. Do you still want them to stay away? Or what role do you expect them to play now?
I'd rather have them stay away.
And then,
I'd rather have them stay away because I think they bring with them some problems and some difficulties. And I don't think they bring death, I mean, you know, to themselves. But I'd rather have them stay away. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
The failing.
Are you concerned?
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are
What's
you
going on
concerned
with it?
that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No,
war
not at
crimes?
all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators, and because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran, we're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are tough, smart, and sick, really sick, you know, from a policy standpoint, from a standpoint, any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich, to have a nuclear weapon, you can tell your friends at the New York Times, not going to happen.
America and Israel objectively are more malign forces around the globe, and yet both of these countries have nuclear arms. Okay? I'm very sincerely saying this, and I don't think there's any dispute. If you are remotely critical about, if you have the capabilities of analysis here, you look at the belligerent ways in which Israel and America have conducted themselves, and you look at the ways, oftentimes the restrained ways in which, I meant malignant. Did I say maligned? I'm sorry. But you look at the ways in which Israel and America have conducted themselves. The reality is clear. Iran is a much more restrained. Iran is a much more restrained actor here. They are much more stable. Okay? America and Israel, on the other hand, are fucking insane. Both of these countries also have their own version of like weird theological justifications for their unlimited violence. Israel obviously has the Greater Israel Project. And America has white evangelical Christianity, white evangelical Zionism as well. Both are very violent projects, and they're violent domestically with domestic repression, Israel's occupation of Palestinians, America's occupation of the undocumented migrants and black and brown people in general, and then also a shit ton of ultra violence when it comes to their foreign policy as well.
So a lot of people are affected by this, but we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants.
Like even this statement alone.
Stone Ages, yeah.
Iran has not said such a thing. Iran has not said such a thing about America nor Israel, really. Like, and they have every right to do so. They were attacked first.
Reopening the Strait of Hormuz, or is that now a top priority?
I would say it's a very big priority because, see, that's one thing that's a little different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them. We can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can carry them in trucks, large trucks.
What?
A water mine. Drop them in the water.
A truck?
And now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion.
Does he think the Strait of Hormuz is on land? What the fuck?
You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water. So it's not like the rest. We can knock out their military. We already have. We've knocked out their Navy. We've knocked out their Air Force completely. We've knocked out 158 ships in 3 days. We've knocked out even their mine droppers. They don't have any mine droppers anymore, but they put them on other boats, and they could drop them. I'm not even sure they have any mines there, by the way. I'm not sure. I'm personally, they say there might be 8. I don't know. I think there might be none. Because they're very good bullshit artists. That's why for 47 years they've been bullshitting other presidents.
Does he think like trucks load up water mines and they just like roll it off of a hill?
You live in that country, they're living in hell.
Like he thinks the IRGC is like rolling off mines off of a hill into the water.
They're
from
at
the
the
back of a
weakest
truck
point they've ever been. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weaponry, they have no radar, they have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication. But all I want to see is I want to have a safe world, and you're not going to have a safe world. Israel will be gone, the Middle East will be gone, and then they're coming for Europe. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO.
If they're
I think that NATO,
incapable of communication, how are they fucking tweeting and doing media hits over and over again?
I mean, to see me on Wednesday, they're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now they all of a sudden want to send things, you know. But they said it loud and clear at the beginning when I spoke to UK of all. I would have said they would have been the first because they're the oldest. And
also,
say,
yes,
I'd
of
love
course
to have
he's
a little
admitting that
help.
there's no negotiations.
Said, no, sir, we'd rather wait till you win. I said, I don't need help after we win. They have 2 old broken aircraft carriers, barely work. I said, I guess we can use them. Who the hell knows? I called the general. He didn't even want them. He said, we don't really need them. We got the SS Abraham Lincoln, sir. We don't need them. Do you know, we have, in terms of technology, we had one day 101 missiles going at 2,700 miles an hour, aimed at the Abraham Lincoln. 101 missiles. Out of 101 missiles, 101 missiles were shot down. Unbelievable technology. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know if that would have been possible, but 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. 101 missiles heading to a ship that's not that far off the coast. And out of the 101 missiles, we shot down all 101. We have weaponry. The Patriots are unbelievable. We have weaponry that's unbelievable. Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Go ahead, please. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said earlier today during the egg roll that you would like to take Iran's oil, but Americans want U.S. forces home.
Correct.
What's that trade-off?
If I had my
Does
choice,
it take too
if I had my
much time?
choice, yeah, because I'm a businessman first. With Venezuela, as you know, the war was over in about 45 minutes. And we have great people running Venezuela, very good people. I mean, the relationship is good. And we are a partner with Venezuela. And we've taken hundreds of millions of barrels, hundreds of millions. Over 100 million barrels already is in Houston, refined and out. And paid for that war many, many times over, many times. You know, the old days, to the victim. Okay, you know that. To the winner belong the spoils, go the spoils. And I've said, why don't we use it? To the victor, go the spoils. And we don't have that. We haven't had that in this country probably in 100 years, because even the Second World War, you look at the Second World War, we didn't have it with the Second World War. We helped rebuild all those countries. We rebuilt Germany. How about Germany telling us that, well, it's not their war. We had nothing to do with it. They wanted me to go and tell them everything I was doing. We didn't know anything about it. Well, if I would have told them, they would have leaked it, and we wouldn't have been nearly as successful, possibly, right? But to the victor belong the spoils. So we haven't heard that in, I think, maybe hundreds of years. Now with Venezuela, and we, just so you understand, the people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president. But we're very happy with the president-elect that we have right now, the people that are running it. If you remember Bush with Iraq, they fired the generals, they fired the police, they fired the people that worked in their equivalent of the White House. They fired everybody. And you know what they had? They had a mess. And you know what happened? ISIS formed. Those
he's not wrong about this. He's not wrong about this.
The police got together. They all got together.
He is right about
this.
He's
ISIS.
saying, like, the reason why we are operating with the same system, but with, like, significantly larger levers of coercion, is because in the absence of that, the instability born out of, like, a bombing campaign and permanent military occupation and just, like, destroying regular civil society, ironically enough, what he's trying to do in Iran, would be devastating for Venezuela, and we wouldn't be able to extract that sweet oil from the ground.
They were all set. They saw that big, beautiful aircraft carrier, the Ford in that case, and planes were pouring off it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So typically, when you see that late at night, you know, you could be in trouble.
To be fair to Trump, or what he's saying here, he's trying to make it seem like he has a totally new attitude, a totally new version of neocon war hawkery, and in some ways it is true, right? Except, I guess, you know, it's not always the same. Like in Iran, as long as there is like some resistance on the ground, it's very clear that he will go back to you know, business as usual, aerial bombing campaigns, and maybe even boots on the ground military warfare.
To people. They pressed the button, nothing happened. They pressed it again and again, nothing happened. And he said, we knew this whole thing was over in 3 minutes. We've never seen any, he used the word ferocity. The ferocity of these planes from 17 different angles, and it was over. They went inside. And remember, that was on a military base with thousands of soldiers. And those soldiers looked and they said, get the hell out of here. Thousands. We didn't have thousands. We had like 200 people. So we have a great military. And I'll tell you what, somehow this rescue captured the world's attention, more so than Normally, you're talking about 2 people. But this rescue captured the world's attention. But we did it in Venezuela. That was amazing. And now we have a very bad man in prison and going to trial. I mean, he
Bro, you are
released,
the very bad man.
aside from the drugs, which he was terrible.
Like, this is another part of the puzzle where it's like, who gives a fuck about what any other country's president does? As an American, you can have that attitude and that's fine, right? I mean, it's just a lie that we tell ourselves that we care about liberating these people anyway. But also, our president is a far, far worse actor than any other president in any other country. Okay? Just on foreign policy alone. Look at what the fuck we're doing currently to the rest of the planet. Look at what we're doing currently to the rest of the planet. And he's like openly saying like they're animals. We're going to bomb them into oblivion. We're going to kill all of them. Literal convicted rapists doing rape to the rest of the planet.
Anymore. So maybe 1 or 2 more and we'll be done.
Mr. President, are you allowed to...
He's right. The world respects America now and will think twice before messing with it. Yeah, no, definitely.
For passage through the strait.
He's answering questions for 2 hours, standing at 80 years old. Dude, oh my God, Trump glazers are so funny. Oh my God. Hold on, I gotta listen to this.
We're the winner. We won. Okay? Oh! They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water, all right?
That's not what they've done. They're collecting tolls.
We'll charge tolls, okay? I thought you meant us. Your question would have been more accurate if you said us. Go ahead.
So just to clarify, in order for Iran to successfully meet your deadline tomorrow, do they have to make a deal, open the strait, or both?
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else.
Mr. President, thank you very much. You've said glory be to God in this conflict. Do you believe that God supports the United States' actions in this war?
I do, because God is good. Because God is good, and God wants to see people taken care of. God
Iranians
like
are the crazy. Iranians are the crazy religious
says,
zealots, by the way.
I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy it. These 2 guys don't enjoy it.
How is it any different? They say the same shit. We literally are doing the same.
I don't like seeing people killed.
We're LARPing. We're LARPing like we are the Ayatollah.
The person who won the Nobel Prize came to me and said,
council of clerks that elected this fucking
dipshit. She announced
dipshit.
that when they announced, they said, goes to Maria. She's a great person, really a good person. She said, no, this is ridiculous. They gave me the Nobel Prize. President Trump ended 8 wars. I could go over every one of them, including India and Pakistan, where the Prime Minister of Pakistan said, President Trump saved from 30 to 50 million lives. That makes me much happier than what we're doing right now. That makes me much happier. We have 1 more to end, by the way.
President,
he's like, come on, I ended 8 fake wars. Let me get a new one.
Crazy bastards.
True.
What is your response to critics who say that...
I don't care about critics.
What is your response to critics who say that it is your mental health that should perhaps be examined as this war continues?
I haven't heard that. But if that's the case, you're going to have more people like me, because our country was being ripped off on trade, on everything for many years until I came along. So if that's the case, you're going to have more people. Dasha, go ahead. Dasha, go.
You said that very little is off limits in Iran as far as targeting, including power plants, bridges, you've mentioned those.
Very little is off limits.
Are there certain kinds of civilian targets, though? I'm thinking schools,
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you that. We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and
we're the good
never
guys,
to be
by the
used
way.
again.
Just want to point that
complete demolition.
This is good guy shit.
By 12 o'clock. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours.
This is how you speak when you want to liberate a people.
We don't want that to happen. We may even get involved with helping them rebuild their nation. And you know what? If that's the case, the last thing we want to do is start with power plants, which are among the most expensive thing, and bridges. You saw the bridge. The bridge went. We were very close to a deal. And then I got a call from Mr. Witkoff, Mr. Kushner, and JD saying, I think they're breaking the deal. I said, tell them that's okay. Don't worry about it. But tell them to look out their window and watch. And within 45 minutes, I gave the order to knock out the biggest bridge. I gave the order, knock out the biggest bridge in, I believe, the Middle East, but the biggest bridge in Iran. And within 10 minutes after I gave that order, that bridge was over. So do I want to do that? No. Do I want to destroy their infrastructure? No. It will take them 100 years to rebuild. Right now, if we left today, it would take them 20 years to rebuild their country, and it would never be as good as it was. And the only way they're going to be able to rebuild their country is to utilize the genius of the United States of America.
You voiced your displeasure with NATO in the past. Is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance, and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO's a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO.
NATO
Putin's afraid
is
of us, very afraid
our
of us.
strategic alliance.
He's explained it to me a lot of times.
Calling NATO a paper tiger is calling America a paper tiger, which is, technically not true. I mean, it's technically true, so.
When we needed them, but we didn't need them, by the way.
We are NATO. NATO is nothing without us.
Obviously,
what are we talking about?
They haven't helped at all. Just the opposite.
He's
They've
so
actually gone out of
stupid.
their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us?
Okay, this does
South
actually
Korea.
confirm my theory, though. It is J.D. Pondon. It is J.D. Pondon. He is a Maoist third worldist. He just keeps saying America, and America's extension, NATO, is a paper tiger. It's very clearly third world to speak. My president is doing permanent first world genocide. Let's be fucking real.
To protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff.
Oh.
Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And do you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice. But we have 45,000 people, soldiers, in harm's way, right next to Kim Jong-un with a lot of nuclear weapons. 45, which should have never happened if a certain president, I'm not going to mention this president because I happen to like him, believe it or not, but if a certain president did his job, Kim Jong-un would not have nuclear weapons right now. But they're all afraid to do their job properly. But just to conclude and just to finish, Japan didn't help us, Australia didn't help us, South Korea didn't help us, and then you get to NATO, NATO didn't help us. There were some countries that did. Now, countries that have been good, now you could also say they're got to be a little bit more involved because they're in the territory, but Saudi Arabia has been excellent, Qatar has been excellent, UAE has been excellent, Bahrain, Kuwait. I mean, Kuwait did shoot down 3 of our planes. The only planes, really, that we lost with friendly fire,
True.
they call it. I call it unfriendly fire. They unfortunately didn't know how to use our great Patriots. The pilot said, what kind of a missile's coming at us? Patriot. Boom, they got out. Because they know a Patriot never misses. So they had beautiful Patriots. There were planes heading in their direction. Unfortunately, they decided to shoot those planes. They were our planes. So, NATO is a paper tiger. Now, he's coming to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy. Secretary General is great. And Mark Rutte, he's a great person, but
He calls me
he's
daddy.
got, and it all began with,
That's
you
why
wanna
he
know
likes
the
him.
truth?
Because
Greenland.
Mark Rutte
We want
calls
Greenland.
Trump daddy.
They don't want to give it to us. And I
Daddy,
said,
yeah.
bye-bye.
Mr. NATO.
Okay, thank you very
I love
much,
you, Mr.
everybody.
President. You are daddy.
What about rising gas prices for Americans who are concerned?
That was something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to explain what we just watched. I mean, that was definitely somewhat more productive, I guess, than the address that he had to the nation. But overall, most of the questions in that room were literally like, Mr. President, you're the GOAT. Mr. President, you are the greatest. You are the legend. I love you. Mr. President, can you fuck my wife? What do you think about, giving nuclear weapons, more nukes to Israel? Like, Mr. President, everyone is saying you have the fattest penis. What do you have to say about that? Stuff like that. Very cool. Very cool things. Very productive session overall, and convinced more than ever that the 25th Amendment is fictional scripture. Yes. I mean, all rules are worth nothing if you don't actually utilize them when it's necessary, right? So none of these regulations matter. None of these rules matter if we're not willing to use them for their design purpose. Right? And that's basically what it is. Rules don't really exist as it stands currently because the Trump administration does not care.